All right. Hello, everybody. Good morning. If it's morning for you, I think maybe most of us, if you're in the United States, are in the afternoon at this point, but good morning, good afternoon, happy day, wherever you are. Thanks so much for joining us today for our last collaborative mentoring webinar series of the year, Mentoring Transition Age Young People, Advice from Lived Experts. Super happy to have you all here with us today for this conversation. And as we're just getting settled in, we're going to give folks another maybe minute or so. You can feel free to drop in your name, where you're calling in from, and then something that brought you joy recently. That's our icebreaker question for today. So something that brought you joy. You can remember to hit the three dots and click, what does it say? Click, make sure that you're chatting with everybody, not just hosts and panelists. Again, you're dropping in your name, where you're calling in from, and then something that brought you joy while we're giving folks a second to pop in. If you're just joining, welcome on in to our last webinar of the year. I can't believe we're already here in December, Mentoring Transition to Age Young People, Advice from Lived Experts. Awesome, already starting to see people introducing themselves. I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Jake Sullivan. I use he, him pronouns. I work with Mentor National as a training delivery manager. Happy to be here with you all. Awesome. So I'm seeing Idaho, Virginia, Michigan, Chicago. Already we're getting coast to coast representation, Wisconsin, California. Thank you, Caitlin, for that. My dog brings me joy every day. That would be my answer, except cat. My cat brings me joy. West Virginia, Virginia. Andrea from Boston. Awesome. Snorkeling in Hawaii. Okay, I love that answer. Here we go. Seeing a lot of love for pets. Always love to see that. I wish we could send pictures in the chat here and get some pet pics, but Zoom doesn't have that update yet, I don't think. Awesome. Lyndon from Chicago. Frosted mitten cookies? That sounds really good. I don't know exactly what that is. Are they just cookies in the shape of mittens? Either way, I'm intrigued. More cookie love. Awesome. So, just giving folks another couple seconds. Thank you all for joining. If you're just joining, you're here for Mentoring Transition Age Young People, Advice from Lived Experts, our last collaborative mentoring webinar series of the year. So thank you so much for being here with us. I'll get started with a couple tips for engagement so you know how to connect with us throughout the webinar. As you all know, attendee microphones and videos are off just for the best quality, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to hear from you. So please continue to interact, use the emojis, use the reactions, use the chat to let our speakers and our panelists know your ideas, your thoughts, your reactions to what they're saying. And you can do that in two main ways outside of the emojis. I should add that here as well. First in the chat box. So again, continue to introduce yourself, talk with one another, share any resources that have been helpful for you, and of course, respond to the presenters. And then you can use the Q&A box, also another button on your toolbar to direct any questions. So we'll have some dedicated time at the end for audience Q&A. And so you can also make sure to submit your questions there. As a reminder, as always, this webinar is being recorded and will be sent out in about a week, maybe a little less than that, probably Monday, with the slides and some other resources that we'll share. So you'll have everything soon in case you want to share this or refer back to it. With that, I'll actually pass it over to Christina Haynes, who is the Chief Strategy Officer with Silver Lining Mentoring and who is on the committee to plan these webinars. So thank you so much for organizing this, and I'll pass it to you.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here with us today. As Jake said, my name is Christina Haynes, and I use the she, her pronouns. I'm Chief Strategy Officer at Silver Lining Mentoring, and I began my relationship with the organization as a volunteer mentor. So proud to be here today with some of my colleagues and our young people. I'm first going to go over our agenda for our use of time, and then we will have introductions of the speakers for today. So first, I'm going to begin by sharing a little bit about Silver Lining Mentoring for those who aren't familiar with our organization, and to share a bit about our programming for transition age young people exiting foster care. So that way you're familiar with the programs that our young adults will be talking about and our program model. Then we'll have a panel discussion. We have three young people here who are Silver Lining mentees who will be sharing their views and insights on our mentoring programs and on transition age, on being a transition age young person. We'll also have time for audience Q&A, so you can use that submit a question function to let us know your questions for our young adult panelists. And then we'll hear from one of our staff members who will share a resource, a free resource for your mentoring program on how to support young adults aging out of care. We'll walk through that resource and tell you how you can access it to begin implementing it in your program. And then we'll have a brief closing with some additional resources to support you. So now let's have introductions of our guest speakers for today. I will pass to my two colleagues first and ask them to share their name, pronouns, their years with SLM, job title, and a brief description of their role, and then we'll hear from our young people. So I'll pass first to my colleague, Liz.
Hi, everyone. My name's Liz Barker. I am a program coordinator with the Institute at Silver Lining Mentoring. I've been with SLM for about 3 years now, and I also have lived experience in foster care.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leah Harrigan, pronouns are she, her. I'm the Assistant Director of Education and Training at Silver Lining Mentoring. I've been there for about 6 years. My job there is to support our education and training efforts for our regional and our national work, creating, sharing resources on the best practices for mentoring youth in care.
And we are privileged to have with us today 3 mentees, and I'll just invite them to introduce themselves, and we'll just go in alphabetical order. And we'll start with Armani, and if you could just share your name, your pronouns, and approximately how long have you been involved with Silver Lining Mentoring? Maybe we'll start with Armani and then Janaea and Tamara.
Hello, everyone. My name is Armani. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I've been a part of Silver Lining Mentoring for about 3 years now.
Hello, my name is Janaea. She, her, hers, and I've been a part of Silver Lining for about 3 years also.
Hi, my name's Tamara. Pronouns she, her, hers. I've been a part. I've been with Silver Lining for 2 years now.
So thank you, and thanks so much for taking time out to be here with us today. So now I will talk a little bit about Silver Lining Mentoring as an organization to help get you acquainted. So Silver Lining Mentoring, we are based in Boston and have been around since 2001. We exclusively serve youth in foster care. Our mission is to empower young people in care to thrive through both committed mentoring relationships and the development of essential life skills. We serve people ages 7+, and we utilize volunteer mentors to provide long-term, consistent relationships. Young people in foster care are often surrounded by a variety of paid professionals, social workers, and other paid supports. And SLM ensures that there is a caring, consistent adult in their life who is not being paid. We utilize a one-to-one mentoring model, and it is supported by clinically informed match support and resource brokering. A little bit about our founding story. The picture that you see here is Justin Pasquarello, our founder in 2001. Justin has lived experience in foster care and was adopted at the age of 9. He continues to serve on our board of directors. One of the things that led Justin to found Silver Lining was that he had both formal and informal mentors in his life and realized the importance of these unpaid mentors, wanted to offer that to other young people. You may be wondering how we got our name. Well, we actually underwent a renaming process in 2015, and a young person said, quote, "You have given me a mentor I can count on and a future I can look forward to. This organization is my silver lining." And we loved that and decided to go with that name. A little more about what we do. So Silver Lining has always provided primarily one-to-one community-based volunteer mentors. We serve nearly 200 youth in our regional programs in the greater Boston area. Over the years, our organization has grown to add additional services, including life skills curricula, young adult leadership opportunities, a national training and consulting institute that helps start up and grow mentoring programs across this country who are serving youth impacted by care. And we are currently in the process of launching an exciting new e-mentoring initiative to expand our mentoring match experience beyond Boston. We'll tell you more about how you could get involved in that. as we move along. Silver Lining is offering today's webinar focused on transition-aged youth because we know that the process of exiting foster care towards independent living is a challenging reality for many of the young people that we serve, and for nearly 20,000 young people across the country each year. For Silver Lining, 51% of the young people enrolled as mentees with our organization are over the age of 18. I want to highlight a few of the programs that we offer serving transition age young people so you can understand the structure of our programs before you hear from our young adult participants. And also I'll highlight how each program provides developmentally appropriate support for young people as they transition to adulthood. Our core program is community-based mentoring. This provides a consistent, positive volunteer adult mentor in a one-to-one relationship with a young person. We ask mentors to commit to 8 hours or more per month for in-person in the community of the young person. We ask those be focused on free or low-cost activities and with a focus on engaging with the community where that young person lives, including asking the mentor to travel as the young person is moved or is placed in different placements. We ask for a minimum of a 1-year commitment, but we're proud to report that our average match length is nearly 4 years, so significantly longer than the minimum commitment we ask for our volunteers. We have partnerships with our state's child welfare agency, which refers young people, but we also receive referrals from community partners and individuals. For our young adult mentees who are enrolled in community-based mentoring, we provide individualized, clinically informed support and service referrals to meet their needs, especially where they cannot be solely met by the mentor or our organization. And we offer some cost of living assistance, for example, around transportation, rental support, or emergency cost of living items such as groceries or clothing. Our programs offer flexibility while strengthening connection and engagement with the young person's community and its resources. A second program that we offer is called Learn and Earn. This is a 12-week life skills training curriculum, and it's available to young people ages over 15. The young person is still paired with a one-to-one mentor, and that match participates in the curriculum as part of a cohort of about 8 to 12 matches. These matches and a Silver Lining staff member meet weekly for 2-hour workshops that focus on life skills, including budgeting, resume writing and job search skills, banking, and other financial literacy topics. The program includes a matched savings component, meaning that mentees can earn up to $750 total by participating in the cohort. With this money, young people have paid for things like rent, college tuition, laptops, professional clothing, and other needs. It ensures that young people don't have to choose between earning money and investing in themselves by setting aside some time for life skills education. It also fosters the opportunity to practice saving and provides an incentive for critical life skills like opening a bank account in which the funds can be deposited. Young people have the option then to enter community-based mentoring after they graduate from Learn and Earn and to keep and continue their relationship with their one-to-one mentor and continue working on their self-identified life goals. And we're proud to say that most matches do continue. Our new program, e-mentoring, will be launching in early 2025. We know that Gen Z, those that are 18 or over presently, are digital natives, and that many want to have relationships that are very flexible and that are virtual based. E-mentoring will allow Silver Lining to bring mentoring relationships to young adults who have been in foster care, who live beyond the greater Boston area, or who move frequently. This virtual-based program will pair young adults who have been in foster care with trained volunteer mentors around life skill and social capital building. It's a virtual-based program, and mentees will make goals focused on education, employment, and housing, along with building that mentoring relationship. We will utilize a custom platform that's accessible through desktop and as an app on the phone. And we will still ask mentors to make a minimum 1-year commitment. They will receive the same depth of training and customized match support. and the matches will communicate via chat or video on the platform approximately 4 hours a month. I'd also like to mention another resource that we offer, not listed on the slide, but very relevant to the mentoring programs here in the webinar, which is our field building support via training and consulting. Beginning in 2020, Silver Lining Mentoring expanded to scale nationally by providing training and consulting to grow the mentoring movement for youth and care across the country. And we do that in a few ways. The first is as a provider through the National Mentoring Resource Center, which is administered by Mentor National. There, any mentoring program from across the country can apply for no-cost training or technical assistance, which means you can receive advice, guidance, problem solving, and capacity building training from Silver Lining, approximately 20 plus hours over the course of a few months at no cost to your program. We also offer low-cost options for programs who would prefer a customized training or a special consulting engagement to meet your needs. So far, we have worked with mentoring programs in 36 states and 4 different countries. And I'll share a little bit more about how you can access that opportunity later in the webinar. But next, I'd like to share a little bit more about how Silver Lining is able to be successful in supporting all mentees and transition age youth. A cornerstone of our success is the depth of training and support that we provide for match relationships, which we know is one of the critical elements of effective practice. Our staff of program coordinators provide match support as well as resource brokering. There may be many adults, caregivers, or professionals in the life of a young person in foster care, and our staff are responsible for coordinating and liaising so that the mentor can focus on building a relationship with the young person exclusively. The volunteer mentor completes an over 8-hour training, multiple screening processes, and commits to ongoing communication with our organization and willingness to receive support. Program partners are also critical, especially for our Learn and Earn program. They refer young people and act as liaisons because many of the transition age young people in our programs live in congregate care or group home settings. I'd also like to spotlight our volunteer mentors. Mentors are especially important because they are often the one enduring common thread throughout a time of constant change and transition. That's exactly what we aim to provide amidst the transitions of foster care and especially exiting the system. We don't expect our mentors to be experts in any particular area of skill building. We train them rather to support the decision-making of a young person, goal pursuit, and self-advocacy through their encouragement, support, and taking steps to learn together with their young person. Next, I'd like to highlight some opportunities that young adults can have in our program as they grow in their relationship with their mentor and with our organization. These additional leadership opportunities become available and help deepen their connection and their growth. The first is a program called Climb, which is a self-paced life skill and community building program. It includes group events and opportunities to achieve milestones, all the while building community among matches and allowing them to learn at their own pace. We also have a participant advisory board. This is a board of young people that provide our organization with guidance and direction to ensure that our programs are meeting participant needs in a culturally responsive, youth-focused, and strengths-based manner. These staff aim to equip the young people with leadership skills and tools to allow them to use their voices as a form of self-advocacy. And critically, young people are always paid for their participation in this board. Members of the board meet monthly with a designated staff member to identify projects where they would like to contribute to strengthening our organization's impact. This may include things like contributing to a training video or shaping our programming and curricula. With this initiative, we are able to offer community building, leadership skills, and to leverage the voice of lived expertise in an intentional way. We also offer a speakers bureau. We saw the need for story sharing and lifting up the voice of lived experience and wanted to prepare mentees to share their experience in a way that would be empowering and open them to new opportunities in their career and in their advocacy. We know it's important for young people to be compensated whenever possible and whenever they are sharing their lived expertise. and therefore that is part of our Speakers Bureau, which was rolled out in 2024. It provides support, training, and public speaking skills so that when opportunities arise, young people can be prepared and have transferable skills that they could add to their resume. Silver Lining, in turn, is able to lift up the voice of lived experience and how it impacts our work. Some opportunities have included panels, such as this one, to educate the mentoring field, blogs, video interviews, and written interviews and articles. So with that introduction to our programming and our leadership opportunities, I'm pleased to present our panel of young adult mentees and ambassadors who will share their advice and insights on how your mentoring program can best support young adults in your program that may be exiting foster care. I know we've had one additional young person be able to join us, so I'll pass it to my colleague Liz Barker, who may wish to begin with that introduction and then begin our panel.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you're here. I'm going to be facilitating the panel today. Before we start, I would welcome Katura to come off of mute and introduce yourself if you want to share your pronouns and how long you've been involved with SLM. That would be great.
Hi, my name's Couture. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I've been involved with SLM for about 8 years now.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So throughout the panel, I'm going to weave some questions about your match relationship and some questions about advice for mentoring programs so that we can get to know your mentoring experience and your opinions. We'll go ahead and start with the first question. First, how did you meet your mentor or get started with SLM? Do you remember how old you were and what you were thinking or feeling in those early days?
Is this for me?
This is for any of the young people.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to go back to the question. I have to change my daughter.
I can go. My name is Armani, and the question was my age and how I felt. I think I was about 16. So I didn't start too young. I was in a group home and they were like, we want you guys to have this mentoring opportunity. So they signed all of us up for it. And it kind of like at first felt like a punishment almost, like it was like taking an hour or two out of our day that we had to do, but then it slowly led into like something fun and someone that I could connect to on a personal level. And even now, like we both decided, like since then the group home's closed and the Learn and Earn, the program that we did ended, but we decided to stick together and we meet about once a month and just talk about like life and other stuff. And he gives me really good advice, my mentor.
That's awesome.
You guys hear me fine?
Yep.
Thanks, Tamara. I joined SLM at the age of 22, but I've had a mentor when I was younger. But I guess I'll say how I felt when I joined my mentor in SLM. It was a bit awkward at first. Like I was comfortable, but at the same time, um, like I had a mentor in the past, but like being older, that relationship didn't end well. So getting that mentor older, I felt like it was a bit awkward, but eventually my mentor grew on me and we have a pretty good relationship now.
You can also add, because now that I'm thinking more about it, like I definitely don't think it's a punishment now. Like I said that like when I first started because like a lot of stuff was really forced on me and I didn't have a choice on a lot of stuff. But then like now I like to brag about my mentor a lot and all the stuff that I can learn from my mentor and all the advice I get. So I think it's like extremely helpful. And it's someone that's really there for you, like just for you, not someone that's like forced to be there for you or when the time's up, they're just gonna leave. It's like a lifelong relationship.
Hi. So I was about 17 when I met my mentor, and I was in a group home. I didn't really care for a mentor because I had a mentor in the past, and she actually stop cut off communication with me, but she never like said anything. And I was like, wow, well, she's probably gonna leave too. And I didn't think that me and my mentor would be this close, and she volunteers. I think that's very important. I don't know, like that's she doesn't get paid for what she does. She actually just does it, with her free time.
Awesome. Thank you all for providing that insight. We can move to the next question, which is, what do you think are key concerns for young people aging out of foster care?
You know, for me, I feel as though housing is like a big one. Like housing and just being stable after we leave, because I feel like most youth in foster care don't really know that you sign back in and like get more resources after the cutoff age. So just having like consistent stability after aging out, and then mental health awareness. Like I remember being in this when I was in the system, I had like a therapist and everything, but once I aged out, I kind of had to like continue the services and everything. Like my mental health journey, I had to like figure it out on my own. So I feel like um having more support with that when you age out.
I agree, housing, and I was gonna say some type of guidance, because you're in the world alone, kind of.
Finishing school was one for me too. Like, I dropped out of school and then I had to go back. So
Yeah, I want to say that too, because I'm 24 and I just graduated this year in January. So I felt like I didn't really have a lot of resources. Like I didn't know, like, because I graduated from high school. Like I was trying to do my GED and I didn't get like a lot of resources. So like I didn't feel like my worker or anybody that like when I aged out that there was more than like I could have got my high school past the age. Like so just the education aspect. Yeah. I want to.
Congratulations on that as well. But I was gonna say definitely the role model stuff. I know when you're aging out or when you're leaving, DCF pushes heavily on like a support system being in place for you, and they like ask you all these annoying questions. So I think that's very important because even if you're very independent, there is some stuff that you're going to need help on. For example, if you need a ride somewhere moving or you just need help with something, it's good that there is someone there for you. I think that's very helpful.
Absolutely. Thank you, Armani. What is something you wish you knew sooner, and how could your mentor have helped you with this?
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
What is something you wish you knew sooner, and how could your mentor have helped you with that?
I can go again. So for me, I think it's confidence, and I think a lot of people can be that too, like to have more confidence in yourself and that you can do a lot more than you think you can, especially when you come from an environment where you don't really see a lot of people doing a lot, or you just feel like some of the group homes and programs, like they don't really help you out at all. So it could be they're like hurting you more than anything. So you could feel like you are like stuck in this system that you're placed in. But I think mentors help you like find confidence and tell you like when you're doing something good that you might not view yourself as something good, they'll make sure to like constantly remind you and reassure you. I know that's what my mentor does for me, and that helps me a lot.
Does anyone else want to add anything, or should we move to the next question?
As I stated before, the mental health thing, I didn't really like know about getting a therapist and like psychiatrist after leaving, like sticking to my meds and everything. And my mentor guided me well, SLM in general guided me when it came to like finding a new therapist or like sending me resources in regards like in my area and stuff. So,
All right, we'll move on to the next question. How do you and your mentor communicate? By email, in person, over the phone? What types of activities have you done together, or what are some topics that you've discussed?
Me and my mentor, we communicate through text message or we call each other. Um, I'm a mom and she's a mom too, so it's different now. But when we do activities, we usually go outside. We walk around. Sometimes I like walking. We done movies. We done the movies, museums. We went out to eat, and we've done financial literacy, which is very important. Um, we talked about financial literacy, and she's helped me with credit. Sorry,
Um, for me and my mentor, we text. I'm Gen Z, so I prefer to text over anything else. Few fun activities that we've done are getting lunch sometimes. Also, SLM sometimes gives free tickets to different events. So we've done the Bruin games with a few other mentees and mentors, or an escape room event. I thought that was really fun. But yeah, that's a few fun stuff. Oh, and a few conversations we've had, especially credit. That was one that I was really interested in because I was like trying to get my first credit card. Like America runs on credit. I've seen and heard stories of people with like a lot of credit card debt or like getting incorrect credit cards. So it was a really good conversation to really learn more about credit, what it does, and how to use it properly.
um, me and my mentor text or sometimes phone call, especially if I'm like going through it, I need someone to talk to. I'll call her right then and there, and she usually most of the time gets back to me if not right then and there soon. So I appreciate her for that. Activities we've done, we take walks too. We like to do that to like clear our mind, talk, especially when the weather's nice. We're both mothers as well, so she um I brought my daughter out with me and like we'll go to like playground and stuff while me and her talk. My daughter would like play. We went out to eat a couple times as well.
So me and my mentor, we mostly text. But I can call her, you know, whatever. Like sometimes I want to make it quick, so I text. Sometimes I want to have more time to explain versus texting, so I call her. Um, but we're still kind of getting in the swing of like doing things together. Um, but we've been to the nail salon, we've been to a museum. And we talk about school a lot, like me finishing school or like my trainings that I'm doing. Uh, yeah, things like that.
Awesome. Glad to hear you all feel like you can rely on your mentor and talk with them in any way that you communicate. So, mentoring programs have a set of topics that they're supposed to train mentors on before they begin volunteering and being matched with a mentee. These are laid out in the elements of effective practice for mentoring, and they include things like program policies and expectations, communication skills, and information about the purpose of the mentoring program. For our panel, what training topics do you think mentors should learn about when it comes to mentoring a young person exiting foster care?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
Sure. What training topics do you think mentors should learn about when it comes to mentoring a young person exiting foster care?
Emotional intelligence, time management, and leadership development.
Those are good ones.
I would say knowing resources that support the youth transitioning to equality.
I would say definitely definitely the financial standpoint, because like now you're on your own, that's like very difficult. So if this mentor can help mentee with that, I think that's very helpful. As well as some sort of like I've said it before, like self-confidence stuff. I think that's also helpful in the training.
I can also chime in to say at Silver Lining Mentoring from a staff perspective, when it comes to aging out and exiting foster care, we want mentors also to be familiar with kind of what are the resources and opportunities, depending on kind of what state you're in, what child welfare agency may still be connected to the young person. And in our case, if our program coordinators can help bridge those resources and help folks be more aware of what they may be eligible for in terms of education or housing, things like that. So that's something we also think about to support mentors and mentees learning together and what they may be eligible for depending on their state and their connection to the child welfare agency.
Thank you, Leah. So, in addition to the mentor training before a mentor is matched, programs should also provide ongoing education to mentors. Do you think mentors should receive different training depending on the age of their mentee? And what do you think some of those different topics might be?
I definitely do think there should be different training depending on the age, just because like I'm not sure what the youngest age is for SLM. I know you guys are trying to do like a younger version as well, but it goes all the way up to like people in 20s joining and being part of it. So I think depending on like where people are at in life, the what you train what you're training the mentors for should be different. Like if someone's like 15, it might be more school related time management, but if someone's more like 20, maybe financial and like stuff around that.
I agree. I think it depends on the age and what they've been through.
Awesome. So we'll move on to the next question. It takes courage for a young person to get to know a new adult and invest in themselves by working toward goals by accepting support from that mentor. What made you decide to say yes to having a mentor? And was it what you expected?
For me, growing up with 10 siblings, I was always fighting for attention, kind of. So having a mentor, I had like that one-on-one attention. So that definitely helped me throughout my younger years of having a mentor. And sorry, can you repeat the question? Because my brain be.
Sure. What made you decide to say yes to having a
Mhm.
mentor? And was it what you expected?
It was definitely what I expected, for sure. Even now, having a shoot, baby's pregnant. Sorry, one second. Sorry. Um, it was definitely what I expected. I definitely got the one-on-one attention I needed at that age, and still now, like when I need somebody to talk to, I call my mentor and um vent to her and stuff. So it definitely was what I expected.
For me, I wanted to be like a better person. Like I wanted to improve myself, and I knew that having a mentor could do that. Uh, my mentor is actually my second one. Like I did learn and learn prior as well, but I decided not to move on with the previous mentor. But this one, I guess I was just in a different point in life where I felt like it would help me more, and that's why I chose to continue it. Part of the reason. So I wanted to improve more as a person, and I knew my mentor could help me do that.
My answer was the same thing. I was gonna say, just realizing that I needed the extra support, and I'm on my second mentor as well. So like when my first mentor like moved away, I didn't really even have plans on getting another one. And then, I just guess I just knew I could use the extra support.
So I needed some positive in my life at that time, and I needed to look. I wanted a role model to look up to, and yeah. So
Thank you all so much for sharing. How has your relationship with your mentor changed over time? Has having a mentor affected your thoughts on other relationships in your life?
I think it changed for the better, and yes, because my mentor does things that friends, quote unquote, could never do in a million years. So
For me, my perspective definitely changed over time. When I was younger, I really didn't trust anybody. Like especially like as Armani, I think somebody said, I don't remember who, like being in the system, meeting like different people, like they're not getting paid, like your mentor's not getting paid. So like I like gained that trust with having a mentor. Um, my brain's all over the place. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna think about the rest of my questions. Sorry.
You're doing great.
My relationship has changed because we're doing more things now. Like at first we were like just like we wasn't really talking very much. And then um me and Rachel um were brainstorming ways that we could, you know, do more things with each other. Um so I guess my relationship has changed because, we're doing more things, and the other part of the question was,
Has having a mentor affected your thoughts on other relationships in your life?
no, I don't think it has. No, it hasn't affected anything. But I think it definitely helps to have a mentor, And even if you feel like you don't want, like, to get a new one, because that was my situation, or you don't want one at all, you could always give it a try. Um,
For me, I think I don't remember the first part of the question, but for the second part at least, I think my relationship with other people have changed because I've learned like what to quote unquote like fight for or what to leave behind, as in like something that's worth your time and something that's not really worth your time to do or be around. Like basically help me surround myself with better people and just in yeah. And I forgot the first part of the question. Could you repeat that?
Sure. How has your relationship with your mentor changed over time?
Oh, overtime. I think as we both grown, I guess at least I've gotten a little busier, so it hasn't been as like forward. I think like I'm like a student, so I'm still taking my classes and he has a job, so we don't see each other as much, but we still text and do activities whenever we're both available.
Thank you, Amani. As we start to wrap up, before we open up to the audience for questions, I just want to thank you all so much for doing this. This has been great. I have just a couple more questions for you. Um, what are some goals or areas of life where your mentor has been helpful?
I can go. When I first met my mentor, I was applying to different colleges and scholarships. Like I was in my college era, I should say, and I really wanted someone to like help me reread and my essays and give me a little bit of advice on wording them. And my mentor was very helpful with that. So that was a huge like thumbs up that helped me.
My mentor helped me with assistance for my GED.
Also, I can add a little more. My mentor also helped me move into my apartment when my group home closed.
Sorry, the question was how did
What are some goals or areas of life where your mentor has been helpful?
for me, emotionally, definitely, my mentors helped with that. My mentor also has lived experience, so she was able to like guide me and like we're able to relate in a lot of things. So she helps me a lot when it comes to like my situation. Um, yeah.
For me, she just gives me like a time away, like from where I, from where I live. I get just like my separate own time for the people from the people that I'm normally around, and she's a good listener.
Thank you. What are some topics or activities that have helped you to get to know your mentor a little better?
Learn and learn for sure. Because we do that the learning part on our phone or whatever. I did mine on my phone, but then when we meet up and do like one of the activities, I think it was the escape room. It was fun doing out there, getting to know each other in person more.
I think activities that were hosted by SLM at the office and just talking. I can't really think of any like specific activities.
Yeah, for me, SLM does a lot of activities, so whenever we're like in person, but even learning and being on like the Zoom calls, that's how we kind of got to know each other at first. So
And we just had a scavenger hunt activity, and I learned a couple of things about my mentor through that as well.
For our final question, before we open it up to the audience questions, um, I'll ask everyone, if you could give one piece of advice to mentoring programs that are supporting young adults exiting foster care, what do you think would be the most important thing to remember?
Just having patience with um your mentee, because most of the time they're going through a lot. That's why they're in DCF placement to begin with. So just having patience with them, not giving up.
Having an open mind, um, and being non-judgmental, because you don't know where they're coming from, and some mentees they go through worse than others, and yeah.
For me, I think like letting them know that they don't have to do it alone. So kind of like really being a support that because it's like scary to be on your own and like now it's like official you're gonna be doing all this stuff without the support. So you kind of letting them know that they don't have to do everything alone and if they need you that you're there, I think that's very helpful.
All right. That wraps up our questions for the panel. I want to thank you all so much for sharing your experience and your insight with us. We'll take a couple questions from the audience now.
Yeah, Liz, I've queued up, I think we have time for 2 questions, so I've queued up 2 that I think will be broadly applicable. And then we'll move into Leah sharing that resource that I mentioned. So the 2 that I would pose to the panel are, the first one is there anything your mentor could do to make things less awkward in the beginning?
Try to be transparent. That was one for me, you know, always try to be transparent.
I think finding some sort of common ground, either some hobby you're both interested in or a TV show you both like, so that way you guys can get to know each other like as like friends first, than anything else. Especially like I've heard stories of mentor or mentees who tell mentors about a show they watch, and then like the next week the mentor like goes and watches the show to get to know the mentee a little more. Not everyone has to do that, but it was like a wholesome story because it really showed that there was effort being put in.
Great, great specific example. And for the last question, for anyone who'd like to share out, how does your mentor hold you accountable to your goals? What's helpful?
For me, I'm so forgetful. So my mentor literally just texts me and reminds me throughout the week, like if I had something I wanted to do, she'll like text me before, and like I sometimes like she reminded me of things that like I should have like known to do, but yeah, she reminds me a lot, so that helps me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sorry, I was gonna just say bringing them up, like, you know, just we could be having a conversation and she'll say, "Oh, how was that?" Or "Did you complete that?"
Honestly, my mentor, she used to remind me, but like I don't need to be reminded. I just need to, because I need to do it myself anyway. What I do now is just when I get goals done, I just show her. Like when I passed my license, when I passed the road test and I got my license, that's something we talked about. Maybe like about last year or years prior, but I just showed her it and she was proud of me. So I just wanted to do it by myself.
For me, my mentor asks questions and also reassures me, but also like if it goes on grades, he'll ask me like how my grades are doing or just text me a reassuring message like, you got this, like whatever goal I bring up and that I can do it.
I'm so glad to hear that. Well, with that, we will wrap up the panel, and I add my thanks for the multitude of insights and examples that you have shared with us today. So thank you so much. And Now I'm going to pass it to my colleague Leah to share about a resource for the mentoring programs here.
Wonderful, thank you. And thank you again to all of the young people and Liz as part of our panel. I really enjoyed hearing your experiences and just really appreciate you sharing your advice, especially around young people who are exiting foster care. And I'm excited to share with folks a new resource guide that was developed this past year with Silver Lining Mentoring to support just that, support for the aging out process, which impacts transitioning age youth in foster care, and that long process of getting ready, exiting the system, and preparing for independence in adulthood. So on the screen here, you'll see a picture of our resource guide. This will be, I believe, available in Jake's, oh, there it is in the chat, and in the post-event resource list. It's on currently on the Silver Lining Institute Resources for Mentoring Programs website, linked right there in the chat. So you can access this, definitely click through, spend time, and wanted to spend just a little time highlighting what this looks like and how this can be helpful to you, depending on your role, whether you're a mentoring practitioner, mentor, or a different role in supporting a young person who is aging out of foster care. Essentially, we want this to be a guidepost for mentors and practitioners with insights into the aging out process, where you can go in and say, okay, according to my state, according to my situation, how can I best support a young person at hand? So as a bird's eye view, this guide breaks out the aging out timeline into developmental modules from ages 14 to 21 plus. We talk about common challenges and opportunities and decision-making points throughout the aging out process, both related to the foster care system, logistical, as well as the emotional and the relational context that come with aging out. So family and social supports, developing life skills and independence. The guide highlights national and federal level policies and connects you with state-specific resources to help customize your approach. A lot of links are in the guide that you can go and find, okay, according to my state, what do I have to work with? So we hope that will point you in the right direction. Essentially, our takeaway for the guide is that supportive adults should direct their focus on educating and supporting young people in co-creating those details of their transition plan. So working on that together, and also knowing that we know that this process needs to start early, and that mentors and practitioners, supporters, advocates are a major part of this process for young people. Okay, on our next slide, again, a bird's eye view insight into the guide that we've linked and that we'll be sharing. In addition to some education on what aging out is and resources, we have sections that are broken down into 4 modules based on a young person's chronological aging care. These include key decision-making points in the aging out process, which I'll share a timeline in the next slide about what that looks like, and certain points that we know that young people will need a concrete plan in place. It also includes common challenges and opportunities. And again, for challenges, not only systemic and logistical challenges, but also, what are we navigating around relationship dynamics and emerging independence, emerging adulthood, and of course, opportunities. So where are those resources and areas of personal growth that we can really tap into? The guide also includes a section in each module on know your rights. So depending on a young person's chronological age, what are their rights in the process of exiting foster care? Many of these are taken from the Juvenile Law Center Know Your Rights Resource Guide, which I believe is Pennsylvania-based. Again, all the links for, it's a really extensive guide. All the links are in the Aging Out Guide itself, so you can go and do a deep dive if you'd like to. And then finally, we have activities to facilitate decision-making, which we think are super important for mentoring programs and adults supporting young people who are aging out. So what are those strategies to support while also letting your young person lead? Okay, on our next slide, I think it's helpful to talk about what the aging out timeline looks like. We'll dive into this one component of the guide for folks to see whether this is new to you or you know a bit about what this process looks like. what is the timeline of aging out? And of course, there are many components and complexities of this timeline. It varies across states. However, here's a pretty high level view of what that looks like for a young person in foster care, starting as early as age 14. That's where the state child welfare service and the young person team actively is pursuing permanency, which could look like many things. It could be reunification with a family of origin, kinship care, adoption, throughout those couple of years leading up to age 16. Permanency is that goal. By 16, if permanency isn't an option, a young person might be assigned APLA, which is another or alternative plan, permanent plan living arrangement. Beyond there, between 16 and 18 is kind of another period of time where there's active conversations about what the young person's plan will be by the time they reach 18. Will they age out of services? Will they have another permanency plan? And 18 is, again, that critical time where a young person may sign on with voluntary extended foster care services in their state, where they could decline that service and age out of care independently. The timeline goes beyond 18. There's definitely, you don't become instant adult at age 18, and depending on your state and your child welfare agency, those opportunities definitely depend on what a young person has access to and what they're interested in. So beyond age 18, a young person or a child welfare agency could terminate those voluntary services depending on what those placement agreements look like. But the time is really meant to be focused on building independence and life skills and having those ongoing active conversations about aging out of care whenever that ends. The most common age of service termination in the United States is 21. Where Silver Lining Mentoring is based in Massachusetts, it's actually age 22. So again, definitely varies depending on state and depending on what a young person's plan that they've co-created with their social worker or their team of supports looks like. So we consider this from 14 to approximately early 20s, this long view timeline, knowing that services are often complex. Sometimes systems aren't speaking to the other, and there are sometimes chances to learn what's available and to talk to one another. So the better we know that what's coming down the line, the better we can prepare with young people and aid in that transition planning collaboratively. Okay, on our next slide, I wanted to mention foster care beyond age 18. When we think about the idea of voluntary services, we know that 18 is a really critical time. And again, when you turn 18, it doesn't mean instant adult. Recognizing this, most states offer programs, including extended or voluntary foster care to support this. So the Federal Fostering Connections to Success and Increasing Adoptions Act of 2008 amended the Title IV-E foster care program to give states the option of allowing youth in extended foster care beyond age 18 and under certain conditions, such as completing educational or vocational training. So that comes with an agreement of sorts. Where Silver Lining's based in Massachusetts and most other states, youth who request those extended care services, they need to enter into a specific voluntary written placement agreement with their child welfare agency, kind of saying, here's what I'll do in terms of career, in terms of education, in terms of those expectations to be connected to that state child welfare agency and receive additional supports beyond age 18. And we call that a voluntary service plan developed with a caseworker and what I think is important, any chosen representative of a young person to serve as a contract between the agency and the young person, which outlines the services that will be provided to them, young person's responsibilities, and then what happens if they don't meet those responsibilities. So things like employment, again, education, personal and emotional supports. Something interesting about these plans is that it's dictated that the plans must be personalized per the youth's direction and preferences. So again, the young person really should be in the driver's seat in determining what they want their plan to look like and who they'd like to be on their team to support them and moving forward with that. Again, most states allow extension of foster care up to 21. Again, it depends on the state, and in the resource guide that you have access to, you can go in and read more about what your state provides. The Child Welfare Information Gateway is a really especially incredible, helpful resource that shows state by state eligibility. And then finally, also in most states, the young people who leave foster care at age 18 can actually request to return to care if they decide they want continued support for things like education, job training, personal safety, and that could be in the form of a supervised independent living situation or resuming other transitional living services. And again, the Child Information Gateway state guidelines are really helpful to learn more about what youth have access to. Okay, so our next slide gives a very high-level overview of some opportunities and resources that are in our Aging Out resource guide. Some that I wanted to lift up that are federally funded and relevant in terms of general and education funds. Wanted to highlight the Chafee Foster Care Program for Successful Transition to Adulthood, mouthful. That's the federally funded program for many purposes like education, college, vocational training, employment, financial management, housing, a lot of things with services tailored to individual needs. So eligibility for this is for young people age 14 and older in care, or young adults formerly aged in care 18 to 21. Again, depending on state, that may change, or those leaving foster care through adoption or guardianship at age 16 or older, and those likely to age out to help facilitate the participation in all of these various activities. An additional appropriation of the Chafee funds is the educational and training vouchers. You may have heard ETV programs, which support post-secondary education and training programs for young adults who have been in foster care after age 14. And this offers vouchers of, I believe, up to $5,000 per year for students to cover unmet expenses at post-secondary institutions. So again, these are two of the what I think really interesting and relevant education funds and general funds that could cover a lot for a young person that are available to them due to their participation and experience in care. For housing, the big one that I'd like to lift up is the Foster Youth to Independence Initiative Program, which under this initiative, public housing agencies provide assistance on behalf of young people age 18 to 24 who've exited foster care or will leave care within 90 days as part of their transition plan and are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. So this can be used to provide housing assistance for up to 36 months. And the way that folks get connected with this is through a local housing agency would connect a young person to the Housing Urban Development, HUD, HUD, the federal organization that provides those assistance and resources. So again, important to be connected to those state agencies that again work with a national initiative to partner and then activate those housing vouchers. Also wanted to mention public assistance, knowing that this is something that we can, as mentors, as mentoring practitioners, as advocates, can support young people in exploring once they reach the age of self-guardianship and begin to navigate their life more independently. So think about the things that they could be eligible for that could really be support. These include programs that could provide cash assistance or in-kind benefits like food assistance or housing. It's important to note that these public assistance programs very often require time and preparation to activate. So again, should be explored well before foster care services end or well before they're needed. I know that's always often doesn't happen. It's not a perfect process, but the earlier that we know what's available and when we can apply for those, the better. So the types of public assistance programs available, and again, varies by state. Benefits from social welfare programs, which are usually based on a low income means tested eligibility criteria. So that's verified by the young person's income and usually done through tax reporting. And then there's benefits from social insurance programs based on criteria like age or disability or employment. And then there's economic assistance and cash benefit programs, so helping young people and families explore opportunities and improve their finances through what might be available in their state. So again, these are just a taste of what young people exiting care may be eligible for and interested in, and links for all of these are throughout the Aging Out resource guide that you'll be able to go in and explore more deeply, and especially for your state or area of residence, we'll see what's available to you. Okay, so also in our Aging Out resource guide is something at Silver Lining we know is really important. Tips for mentors and practitioners. What are those take-home messages for us who are supporting young people transitioning out of foster care, no matter where they are in their timeline? Something that the guide talks about is the sensitivities of aging out. So what do conversations about transitioning out of the foster care system look like, knowing that those are often accompanied with complex emotions and uncertainty and unique challenges for each young person? And as an adult support, how do we really be intentional about language and the questions that we ask? So we consider questions like, what has the young person already been told about future planning? Are they involved in that process? What do they understand about that process? And are there other adults in their life who may have more information on how to best approach a topic at hand? So really thinking critically about the conversations that we have in this larger preparation process. And the next piece I like to call the imperfect road, which is I believe is a very common challenge in transition planning. And that's really keeping up with all of those checklist items that are ahead and in front of young people. There's a lot of them, and often they pass us by and we say, oh no, we missed that, or we lost that opportunity. So if we missed out something, how can we learn from this experience? How can we be creative in solution, and how can we give ourselves that grace and space when things don't go according to plan? Finally, a tip included in the guide is a bit about remembering self-care, knowing that it can be a lot at times emotionally for everyone to support the big transitions and life steps that come with where a young person will live, who they'll live with, what their plan will be, especially when it's uncertain. So the guide talks about finding support systems and thinking about boundaries, and also not pressuring mentors to be an expert on all topics. We're always learning together. Okay. And then finally, thinking about using the guide as you're flipping through it, as you're scrolling through it, knowing as an online resource, have some suggestions for how you might implement this into your program. I want to encourage you to think about, how could I use this guide depending on my program situation, role in supporting young people. One area could be mentor training, if it's considered as a required piece of a training or reading material for transitioning age youth mentors. Could you give mentors time to review the guide or sections in the guide and have conversations about their thoughts and questions and feedback? Really consider how to customize this for your program. Are there certain areas that you want to highlight or supplement with information more relevant for you and your organization? Knowing that folks have all different areas of interest in their organization, like academic or social and emotional or relational based mentoring. So we definitely consider mentor training as an ongoing process. So we also want to encourage you to think about that in that way to continue to train mentors on the pieces of aging out, especially those tips that I mentioned, like the sensitivities of aging out and self-care, and how to adapt when things don't go according to plan and how you can support them. Another piece may be a staff resource share. So think about how you might be able to supplement or elaborate on the guide depending on your program and its goal. Could it be part of onboarding for certain staff who support transition age youth, or to review on a specific basis? And maybe consider how you may want to include it in your match policies. Again, every program is unique, and the goal is for you to have information that you can work with and customize to your program. And then finally, match support. So if you're a mentoring organization or part of one, could this be something to come back to in terms of match support resources, thinking about who are those champions who's going to be on you and your young person's team, and how can we involve them in transition planning and sharing what we know, and including that in our circle of match support. Okay, in our next slide, Janae, I don't know if you're still up for this. So I like to end on this wonderful quote that was written by Janaea, who's here, that I think really speaks to the power of potential and the strengths-based vision that we have at Silver Lining. So I would read it, but probably wouldn't do as good a job as Janaea, who wrote this. So if you'd like to read this, Janaea, I'll pass it to you.
Sure. I want mentors to know, if they don't already, that everyone has potential. Every young person's goals are not going to be the same, and everyone's journey to meet their goals won't be the same. Remember that a young person's goals might change, but not so much their ability or their potential.
Thank you, Janaea. Appreciate that. Appreciate you providing those words and giving us your voice today.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah. And I will pass it back to Christina, who will continue the ways to stay in touch with Silver Lining.
Well, as I share with you a few additional resources, if you know that you would like Silver Lining to follow up with you about training or additional support, please go ahead right now and drop your email in the chat, and we will make note of that and reach out to you. So we have a few contact information on this slide. Firstly, if you have any questions about the Aging Out Guide, you have Leah's email right there. If you have interest in a consulting project, some of those free or low-cost consulting hours that I discussed to grow your program or to enhance practices for serving youth in foster care, or if you'd like to learn about our 2025 learning cohorts, these are 4 to 6 week sessions that are free. They're group learning communities on mentoring topics. You can contact Liz or put your email in the chat now. And lastly, if you are interested in referring a group of young adults to our new e-mentoring program, for example, if your program ends at age 18, or if your program is not specifically focused on youth in foster care and you want to be able to refer a young person or a group of young people to an expert program, we would love to hear from you. So you can go ahead and contact me. As well, if you have any general questions about today's webinar, you can contact me. You can also find our social media information to follow Silver Lining for upcoming events and other free trainings and webinars like this one, or subscribe to our email list on our website. On our website, in the resources tab, you will find many recordings of past webinars, as well as different resources that you can download. So we hope that is helpful to you as your program enhances your programming for transition age youth and youth in foster care. Please feel free to reach out to us. So with that, a final thank you to our incredible mentees for sharing so much wisdom, for our staff for facilitating and the resource you've shared, and for Jake and Mentor for hosting us today. And with that, I'll pass it back to Jake for our conclusion.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you, yes, to Silver Lining Mentoring for putting this whole panel and this webinar together. And then especially thank you to our young people today for providing so many, again, specific examples, your experiences. I know it can be a lot. So I just really appreciate all of your transparency and your authentic responses. So yeah, just thank you all. And I have a few more resources and a couple things to remind everybody of before we part ways for the year. So as always, you can contact us using this email, collaborativewebinarseries@mentoring.org. Any feedback or questions can go there. You can reach any of your local affiliates. So we have over, I believe, 25 affiliates across the country who can, again, support with training, resources, public awareness, and advocacy. You can find your local affiliate on our website or click this link once we send these slides out. If you're looking for mentors to recruit to your program, you can add your program to the Mentoring Connector if you haven't already. A really amazing resource that lists mentoring programs across the country that folks, if they're looking to mentor, they can search either in their area, they can do the nationwide option for e-mentoring programs and things like that. And then we also have the National Mentoring Resource Center, which again is a resource where we have all sorts of evidence-based mentoring resources, evidence reviews, program on program models and other things, as well as where you can apply for no-cost technical assistance and training, again, including from Silver Lining Mentoring there. Remember to take the 3 to 4 minute anonymous survey to let us know how we did. And again, in a few days, you'll receive all of the resources, the slides, the recording, etc., for this webinar. And then last but not least, you can join us in 2025. The registration link is not yet posted, but it will be to our website, and you'll all receive an email as well to join us for the first series of the year, Engaging Families and Mentoring Strategies for Lasting Impact. And that first one will be on February 27th. So this series as well, Conversations with Youth, will be continuing next year, later in the year. So you can look forward to that as well to, again, continuously hear youth perspectives on this work. So thank you so much again to our panelists and to Silver Lining Mentoring, but also thank you all, whether this is your first webinar or if you've attended several throughout the year. We really appreciate you showing up to these to learn with us and be in community. So hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful rest of your year, and we'll see you at the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.